Hi everyone, so this is the second video in the series about the website, and I just want to just mention one or two things. Of course, I always forget to mention one or two things when I make previous videos, and always kick myself once to say these things. Just to mention that the last one where we talked about logging in and resetting passwords, the site is very secure. Also, passwords are stored in a very cryptic, very highly encrypted manner, impossible to decode unless you have a secure key to do so. Also, you can't just register as a user. I took that away because there was talk about we really want to keep this as a private website, so there isn't any way apart from if you're invited by us to join this website. You can't even get to that reset password page because you have to have an email, and that email has got this weird long security string on it and numbers, so you can't do that. So it's very secure indeed, and we're using industry standard techniques for securing websites here. It's all good stuff. So that said, let me move on now to explaining the next bits and pieces that could be really useful. So now I'm going to talk now about the stars, how we set up the details of the stars, our binary stars, and how we go about looking for predictions for when minima occur in different locations around the world, and all the other information we didn't need to know, how high it is in the sky, where the moon is, and all that kind of stuff. And this is the stuff that I'm really finding very useful personally, and I want to share with you as soon as possible. So just before I go into the details about the stars and the predictions, you will remember from the brief demo I did give that there is a feature where the system stores a database or a table within the database of observatories, and we can have as many of these observatories as we like. And because I need to know, or the software needs to know, when I'm trying to do a prediction from Nerpio in Spain, of course I need to know the longitude and the latitude, the time zone, and all those kind of things to get the predictions correct. So here, I've got quite a few observatories in here already. Obviously my observatory in Ham. I've got the ones I use. I telescope regularly at the moment. John's observatory in Selsey is there. Eric's, I've put yours in there. And if it's not right, Eric, don't worry. I've tried just to put something in, to help and to get things going. If any of these things are not quite right, then we can edit them straight away. And as you can see, it's extremely easy to just add a new observatory, names, telescopes, detectors, longitudes, latitudes, all this stuff, and that's all we need to get going to add a new observatory. So it's very simple to add one, and once you've added one, everything works for that new observatory just the same as any other observatory or any other observation that's stored in the system. Okay, so the observatories is very important. I'm now going to click on our binary stars. These are the stars of interest, and I've already started to add in some of the new stars that we're starting to monitor, and I'm already finding those are very useful for predicting. We're trying to pin down the minima for HL Aurigae and RZ Tauri, and all that stuff. So these are being added as we go, and it's very simple to add a new star, just like adding a new observatory, and it's very simple to get one set up. So if I click on a star, let's click on our good old favorite HSO 705. Clicking on the star sends you to a page about that star, and there's an update button to be able to update any information that I have wrongly put in, or we need to update the period or something like that. So basically there's a name, a type, and also known as, which can sometimes is not useful, where it is, what constellation it's in, the right ascension and declination, the period that we're currently using, and the T0 for predictions, because currently the predictions are working by calculating minima from a fixed T0 and a period. And that is, I'm finding that obviously that will not give to the second an agreement with, for example, David's or our spreadsheets that are given. But for an observer who wants to know when a minimum is to within a minute, which is all you need to know to go out and make an observation with a telescope, it's really accurate enough, and that's how it's currently calculating these things. I've also put a magnitude range in, which we didn't have before, and I've also added a primary web link and the ability to put a secondary web link, which is new. The primary web link is we are hoping that it's always going to be the Simbad entry, which is what I've tried to make it for each of the stars so far, and then any useful secondary link. In this case, it's the AAVSO page for that star. But again, they're very easy. Just click update. If we want to change the links, we simply update them in the star details, and it'll all work. Okay, so clicking on the star, you get to see the details. So we've looked at the details that are shown, and it'd be nice for, if anybody thinks I've missed anything absolutely vital that we need to store, then please let me know, and we'll add extra fields to the table in the database, and we can store that information as well. I have everything I need at the moment to do the work that the website is doing for each star, but we might want more. Okay, so another thing, reference stars. So click on reference star and you'll see these are the reference stars. Of course, these will only be the ones that we've agreed to be the reference stars that we use currently for each of the stars that we're observing. Okay, so you can look at reference stars, you can edit the star and change them, you can delete them and add new ones, and we can manage our library of reference stars in the database here, and it'd be very easy to something I have been thinking of adding is creating a report of the stars and the reference stars in a spreadsheet form, so we can always see what's in the database at a single click. But okay, so reference stars, recent observations. I'm not going to go into it too much because the observation stuff is being changed as we speak. I'm working with John on the new format for the files for the observations, which is going to conform to the new standard that we want for the photometric parameters that we need to store, but it works at the moment just by showing it does actually now store the reference stars and the check star, which is something new you won't have seen, but it is there. It might be worth showing something, by the way, while I'm here. If I clicked my user, and you'll see that there's a setting now, graph line style, because there was a talk about, well, some people like to see lines, some people don't. If I change that to none and update, okay, and then I go back to the star, our binary stars, I go back to the same star, and I go back to recent observations and view the same one, you'll see now that it's plotted with no, there is the check star is plotted as it was, but the main star is now plotted without the dotted line I had selected. So you can choose, each user can choose preferences. Now that of course opens up a conversation about other preferences which we would like, colors and things, but just to show you that it's possible to do these kind of things relatively easily. Okay, so I am going to avoid observations from now on. I'm just going to talk about the rest of the things on our binary star page. And so but that is a button that I wanted to mention. So the most important things now for the predictions are there's actually three big things for predictions. There's this button here, the blue button, where you can go to find the next predicted night time minima for the star, and then you can choose from where and what time and date you want it to work from. So let's look at that. I click that, and it takes maybe a few seconds to run this, or a second or two. It's doing a lot of calculations. So what it's now showing is it's defaulted to my observatory because I have an observatory in my settings. That gives me a setting there, but of course you can now see I can choose any observatory that's in the list, that's in our database. Okay, if you don't have an observatory, then you won't see my observatory, and it would have defaulted to Greenwich, which is what I was explaining, I think, in the previous video. Okay, but looking at the results now that I just ran from my observatory, it knows what it's called, my observatory, and here we're seeing it tells me that from this location, this particular star, that's its maximum possible altitude that it can actually reach at its highest, at whatever time that is. It shows me a list of 10 predicted minima from now, because I hadn't specified any date yet, from where and between these hours and above 30 degrees. Now I've made it 30 degrees, not 40 degrees, because we might want to do a 39.5 degree minimum, and if you take it to 40, it can be it might be a bit restrictive, but you can change that down here. So if I now change that to I'll choose John's observatory. Obviously I get the same figures near as damn it. I'll go forward 3 days, and you click that to get a calendar, and you choose your date, and I'll actually make it 40 degrees and recalculate, and it thinks about it. You can see, there we go, it's spinning away, and now it's saying here are the next 10 from the Woodland Observatory between these hours and above 40 degrees. Okay, and it's giving, because John's observatory is set to UTC at the moment, it gives you just the one column for the date and time. It gives the altitude of the predicted minimum time, the altitude of the moon at that time, the phase of the moon, and the distance in degrees from the moon to the object. I think those are really useful things to know. Obviously at the moment as we speak, we are pretty much on full moon last night, and the 15th is 3 days time, and the phase of the moon will be getting down into the 80s and 90s, as you can see, and so that is working nicely for us. So if I now want to do the same thing at T21 in New Mexico, I just simply do that, recalculate, and because this observatory has got a time zone setting that is not 0, it now gives me both UTC and local time. And of course the local time is exceedingly useful for iTelescope, because that's what they require. And again, all the same figures. So this is a really, really useful tool now for quickly seeing a particular star, what the next 10 minima are from a particular date at a particular location. So that is a very powerful tool. So let me go back to star details. That was that one. I think I've shown you the observing plan is the yellow button, and I'm going to click that one next. The observing plan is for a particular night, and it shows you, we did discuss this, I won't go over it in great detail. It's now showing me the main curve there. The purple and the yellow is rising and setting colours for the star, HSO 705. The dotted line is the moon. Okay, and as you can see, of course, the moon is nearly full, so this is from today, the 12th, and the moon, as I speak, well, because you might be watching this video later, but there was a full moon last night, just to let you know. And you can see the sun setting, and you can see the astronomical twilight. So again, this is a very useful tool for seeing when things are rising, seeing a view of the night for that star. And it tells you the age of the moon at midnight, it tells you the percent illuminated at midnight, and it tells you the maximum altitude of the object from this location. So we'll have to think about what else we might want to see on this, but that is the observing plan. And change the day. So if I go forward, okay, so let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. We should be on what should be on last quarter. So last quarter in 7 days time, I'm going to click it again and run it, and you now should see basically the moon now, of course, is shoved over a bit because it doesn't rise now until nearly midnight, and the same with the star. So as you can see, we're going to get better chance for observing this star in 7 days time. So very useful. Okay, so back to the star details. And okay, so the thing I was working on that we were talking about when I last explained the website is a general what's around feature. So everything I've been doing so far has been clicking on the buttons and the details for one particular star. But what about what's around now for me or any observatory? Now this is it's been hard and it works really well. I'm very pleased with this. So it is not related to a particular star, and I click it. It says this page shows you which stars are available on a particular night from a particular site. Okay, it will only show you stars that occur greater than 30 degrees, and only stars that will actually reach 30 degrees or above at any time are listed. So it ignores any stars that are too southerly for us. It just won't show you, it won't bother you with any details of very low minima, because they're just not important to us. Okay, so let's do this. It's today, what's around tonight from my observatory, and the number of days I want to predict for is just 1. You can go up to 5 days. There are thousands and thousands of calculations going on, so I've restricted it to 5 days. Okay, but of course you can go forward with the date, and still go in the future as long as you like, just by selecting a different date. So let me now submit, and this can take 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds or something like that. Boom, that wasn't too bad. This server is quite good on pythonanywhere.com. And now we're seeing a complete view of what's around, okay, from me here, my time zone, where I'm from, the date range that it's predicting, the age of the moon at the start of this period, the age of the moon at the end of this period, and the percentage illuminated start and end. Okay, so it's obviously around full moon. Okay, so it's showing me the stars that I could possibly observe from this location that are in the list of the stars that we have got in our stars. So good old H705, the star in Pegasus here. I can just catch low ones of J8205, which is in down in low down in the south, and well, not low, but it's you can just get it from the UK. And again, the other stars, RZ Tauri, which is a new one. Okay, so it's showing you a complete summary of all the minima of all the stars that could possibly observed. And of course, if I go to Siding Spring and do the same thing, of course it's going to give me a completely different view on the world. And there we go, those are the only 2 stars that are any good for me from Siding Spring at the moment. So this, I believe, personally, is saving me saving me so much time. I just can't explain how good this tool is at the moment. So it's as it is at the moment, and I want you to use it. I'm guessing there'll be suggestions for improvements or additions, or why do we need that? This kind of thing. But anyway, that's it. So that's how you look at the stars, look at their details, and look at how to predict them in various different ways, how to look at the minima. I'm guessing the what's around page is going to be used a great deal. Okay, so okay, I think I've gone on long enough. I don't know how long I've gone on for, but that was a big topic to cover, and I'm hoping that was useful. Okay, and speak to you next time. Thank you.